Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm here today with Sue Lopez, who works in curriculum development and instructional design. She has a master's in school counseling, and she is the spouse of an Army retiree veteran. So, Sue, hi, how are you?
Good morning. It's nice to be with you.
I know we've had a great time just getting to know each other. I love these interviews because we get some green room time where like almost for an hour we just sit and chat and get to know one another. And I've loved hearing about your journey. And it'd be great if you could fill everybody else in because I think it's been, like when you see those memes of here's what I thought my career journey would be, and it's a straight line, and then here's what my career journey actually was, and it's a big zigzag.
Yes, the reality is of the big zigzag.
Right, and you kind of personify that. So, I mean, could you spend a few minutes just telling everybody about your military spouse journey?
Sure, sure. Oh my gosh. Well, I was proud military spouse for over 27 years, and now I'm a proud retiree spouse. So, um, our life was full of transitions. If we were not in a deployment cycle, we were in a PCS cycle, and we transitioned over 14 times and experienced over 6 deployments and Korea multiple times. So we were always in a cycle of transition. And it's in my own experience and my own journey, um, being blessed with mentors and people who came into my life to encourage me through all of that. I wanted to do that too. So while our life was full of constant movement and I found resilience and I found community and I found that I had a deep rooted commitment to serving my community. That was something that my grandmother and my mother taught me is that you get more back in life when you serve other people. And our family is a family of service. So all of those experiences just helped us to serve the military community, whether it was at the high school sports team, or if it was the unit event, or if it was a chapel event, or just a community event. A whole family, we brought our children up to serve as well. So throughout all of those many relocations and deployments and school transitions, I have a lot of experience and understand the unique challenges that each one of those brought and the strengths and the weaknesses that come with them. And I realized that I have an opportunity to share the positives and the negatives if it's helpful and impactful for someone else, specifically a younger spouse. And I remember when one day we were at a coffee group and my spouse, we were doing something with a new group meeting for the first time. They were the new battalion commanders, and my husband was a new major for him. And we sat there and we were like, when did this happen? Because we were looking around the room of young women, and we realized that we were now the senior women in the room. And we both just reflected, when did that happen? Because I still feel like that young first wife, newly married, thrown into the fire. And so we thought we really have to mentor these young ladies. So in life and in the military and with their families and anyway. So my role as a spouse wasn't just about supporting my service member. It was about how I felt the calling to advocate for all of those to address the issues that we were challenging as we were receiving as a family with educational continuity every time we moved, as well as and newly the conversation on school-based mental health and of course whole child design and UDL, and how all of that relates to military connected children who are constantly moving and starting over. And I've walked alongside of my children. They are 27 and 25, and we still have these conversations. And we're still going through life changes. My youngest daughter graduates from college next week, and she's 25 and dealing with 25-year-old leaving education behind and becoming a new woman. But it's a new opportunity, right? And so I try to use my background in school counseling also to support my family. And so 26 years of working with students in schools, my own children, um, I think I have a really good understanding of the needs of what military families need and how to support them. So I was fortunate enough, um, when I made a pivot in my career to help create the MSEC military student consultant role. It took our 5 years of experience and turned it into a virtual role where I have trained my peers to take that over, but they provide individual professional consultation to support families, CONUS and OCONUS, and we really just want to meet people at their need and help them because no issue is the same. Nothing is cookie cutter. There's always something unique, and we just do our best to try and help them. So I was recently at an international event because we are sponsoring international students here at Fort Leavenworth. And my peer and mentor that said something to me in 2002, she changed my life. She was in the room. And I was sitting with my young Korean spouse, and we were talking about the differences. And I looked and I saw that woman, and I said the exact same line that she said to me in 2002. If you can't have the career that you want, create a volunteer career that will get you to where you want to go.
Mm.
And I said that woman told me that in 2002, and it really did change my perspective. To say, okay, I can take this bull by the horns. I can choose to be involved in my community, in my children's schools, or whether it's an installation or the local community. I can choose where I want to spend my time and my
Right.
energy. And so, being a military spouse helped shape and helped to shape me, and it taught me to be a leader um, that leads with empathy and that adapts with grace, and to fight fiercely for those military families who deserve to be seen and heard and celebrated.
No, I love it. And I mean, just listening to you, it sounds like you've been a lifelong advocate and, and that the pivot, I imagine, I'm envisioning happened very organically for you. But could you kind of outline it for us? Like, how did you make the pivot to instructional design and curriculum development? Because I think that's a little further away from where you thought you were going to be when you were in college, based on our conversation. I mean, does doing something like that involve additional education or specific classes that set you up for success?
It does. And so um, I've realized that if you don't invest in yourself, in your education, in your own professional development, you'll die on the vine. And we need to be lifelong, continual learners, and we need to adapt, and we need to be flexible. And I know that sometimes people, like my daughter, that's 25, said to me when I was 10, I don't want to be resilient today. And
Oh,
that's okay because you don't have to be today, but
right.
tomorrow. From the words of Dr. Ginsburg, you choose what you do with your life every day when you put your feet on the floor. So if you have a moment where you don't feel so resilient, that's fine. But you choose what kind of day you're going to have and who you're going to invest your time. And don't forget yourself. When you're serving everybody else, don't forget yourself. And so, my as a licensed school counselor, I was really hoping to get a job as a school counselor. Um, but as I was getting my license and finishing my internship, we got orders to go to Fort Polk and to be pre-stationed for battalion command. So then when I got there, I was really upset because I was one internship left for my master's degree. Is all I had to do. And then we had already relocated 3 times during my master's degree. And so I was so frustrated, but I was at least going to enroll my daughter in school, and I was going to turn in my substitute application and hopefully become a known quantity in that school, and then maybe get placed for my last internship so I could finish my master's degree. But I was lucky. I was interviewed on the spot um, to be a substitute, but then I was pushed back to a decision maker, and she interviewed me for a Department of Defense Education Activity grant that was
Mm.
going to start. So she put me in a school immediately to finish my internship, like the next week, starting the next week. And then as that finished, I walked right into that job for 4 years, where I was the military student transition consultant. and worked firsthand with 7 schools. I was the social emotional counselor at 7 schools. So my dream was magnified and realized times 7. And my job was to transition families within the first 10 days at 7 schools. And so I took my experience and my passion to help and serve into that career. And that was a grant that ended. And then we moved in 2020 during COVID. My husband was in Afghanistan. We were in Louisiana and we were being stationed at Fort Leavenworth. And I just had to pivot again. And so I had a great relationship with my executive leadership and my current boss. And I was prepared to leave the organization because that grant was tied to that school district. But I asked, may I go do something different? I've been giving professional development. I've been in the building. I would like to write professional development to teach others to do what I've been doing and 19 of my peers, just taking that 5 years of experience and wrapping it into a designed product, that would benefit others. So that's kind of how the pivot happened. So, I was already counseling, I was already training and doing district PD and uh, school PD design specifically for each administrator who had their own school climate and culture and staff. And so we would work together to do all those things. I realized I wasn't just delivering content, I was designing an experience so that those who are working with military youth truly understood, because I wanted it to be practical and applicable and, just um, real. And so that my pivot to instructional design and curriculum development kind of happened that way. I had to advocate for myself. I
Right.
had to ask my boss, I really don't want to leave. Is there anything else I can do? And she believed in me, and my executive leadership believed in me. And so they gave me a new opportunity. And that's what I've been doing since 2020. And it's a blessing. I have amazing peers that I work with. And so the pivot just kind of happened. And we have to just do the good, right thing, stay the course, invest in ourselves, continually seek out professional development that's relevant to today and what's happening in your field or your profession, and pursue it. Be targeted, be intentional about it, and you have to always invest in yourself.
No, I love that. And I love what you said about having to advocate for yourself because I know when we were chatting, you emphasize that a lot that, one of the things that you're trying to teach your children and the people around you is the importance of advocating for yourself. And that is so true because I think people who get what they want, it's because they ask. And, other
Mhm.
people are on the sidelines going, why aren't I getting the raise? Why aren't I getting those opportunities? It's because you never ask. And, I think that's an important and a difficult lesson to learn in the workforce because unless someone just explicitly says that to you or teaches you that, it's not intuitive, right? Because you just assume that you do good work and good things will come. And no, you hit the nail right on the head, which is no, you do good work, good things will come if you ask for them.
Mhm, mhm.
So
It's true.
and I love your deliberate approach to the transition. I mean, I'm talking about all transitions, like every transition that you had when you switched jobs, every transition that you had when you PCS. And I feel like you brought that same approach to the transition out of the military lifestyle, right? And I think you're going to have some great answers to this. And I've asked this of many people, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are because I think we're pretty aligned because I fully believe the time to start researching resources is definitely not when you need them. I mean, when did you start collecting information on the resources available to you? I mean, and I know that we're hyper focused this year. NMSN is hyper focused on the transition because it feels like it's a conversation that we're not really having about the military spouse transition. And so I'd love to know, like, what would you recommend to folks who may be 5 or 3 or 1 year away from the transition out of the active duty lifestyle?
Yeah, it was the hardest transition I've ever done, and I am a military student transition consultant at heart and a school counselor. Like I said, our life has been continual transition. I said But we need to have a deep understanding of our audience and who we're speaking to. And if we're mentoring others, how do we encourage those conversations? 5, 3, 1 year. Where do
Right.
you see yourself? I I had some people ask me that question, but I didn't have a lot of people ask me that question. In fact, because of my role in my community in schools, people depended on that from me. And I realized I'm doing all of this for them. I need to do this for me as well. And so, to answer your question, we do need to continually always seek that out because I I have I've often been told you're a walking billboard. You have all of the information. And I said, but I can only do so much with it. You have to drink it. I can bring you to the water. You have to drink it. And I tell myself that too. I know my resources. I need to leverage them. And so it's never too late or early to start looking. And when you're doing a transition of any kind, um, start collecting that information in small steps. Start thinking about where the gaps might be for you. If you see a gap of need, take note and remember that because others are going to have that same, probably the same need. There's never a question that doesn't need to ask because somebody else is going to ask it or needs the answer as well. So start now, start small, be very, very intentional. Think about what matters for you and your family. Um, really think about what matters for you and your family because this is the first time after a military career that you get to do that wholeheartedly. What does this mean for education for my children or myself? What opportunities? What is the healthcare like? What are the potential earning opportunities for me if I get to stay somewhere longer than 2 years?
Right.
You know, where's the potential? And so, how am I engaging in my community? When you go to a new place, whether you've been there for, if we retired in this area, I know the area. You have to invest in your community. You have to invest and be part of it. So you have to build your own toolkit and, subscribe to newsletters. Know who the military organizations are. Know where military spouses can get help, mentorship, um, all of the things that you need to make your own professional transition. But do it intentionally. Sign up for virtual PDs if you can't go to them. Um, Sign up to be on their newsletters to constantly learn. You leverage social media. Leverage social media. I don't do that as well. My children tell me, you should do this. I'm like, oh, I can't take anything new in my life. But clearly, I need to get on board because I just attended a PD for the summer college board school institute for school counselors. And there is a school counselor who's leveraging all of the media. And I'm like, I need his resources. And I have to go create this new account because I want to follow him. He's brilliant. So like leverage your resources, know who they are, ask questions, connect, and you don't have to do it alone. Seek out the people who have gone before, who just walked that journey or who are walking the journey with you. Share it. Do not isolate yourself.
Right. No, I
Yes,
think
do not
that's so important.
isolate.
And I
Mhm,
mean, you know, when we did our transition, it was kind of cool because I think we did the same thing you did, which was go back home. Because my husband was also a military brat. So, he was like, my parents have moved away from the house I grew up in, so we can just live anywhere. Let's just live on the East Coast. And I grew up in Northern Virginia. So I'm like, well,
mhm,
if you don't care, then I'd love to move back to Nova. And so it was great being back here. But I have to say, one of the greatest things about being back here was reconnecting with my high school friends and, being able to spend time with family. And so it was like, yeah, the military community was great, but I don't know if you felt this too, but like right after my husband transitioned, we kind of had a little bit of a break from the military where I'm just like, I want to explore the other communities. Like like some of my best friends here now are, of course, Air Force friends that, we've known forever or have met in DC.
mhm,
But I also like love getting together with my high school friends and I love getting together with my cousins. And it's just so wonderful. I think I was so worried about the transition out of the active duty military because I was worried about what I was going to lose, but I
mhm.
didn't focus on what I was going to gain.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the biggest surprise for me. Like, did you have any surprises like that going home?
Um, yes, and so this is Kansas is home for me, but here it's still 3 hours away from where I'm really from, and so I have I have a few high school friends that actually moved into my neighborhood
Nice.
after her lifelong military career, and so it's really great to have my maid of honor and best friend living in my neighborhood after
Wow.
25 years. That just happened by chance, which is a wonderful thing. And then I knew some people through the military in the Fort Leavenworth community. And so I've invested in those circles and retirement circles. Um, but I think you just have to be open and you have to approach it with curiosity. And like you said, maintain the relationships, but just give yourself permission to explore something new.
Yeah.
Because what you know is the military life and community. And then there's a whole civilian life and community. But um, just explore it with a growth mindset, and remember that it's a new chapter and you get to write it.
I love
And
that. I love that
it's
approach.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
I, for me, just came out of 7 schools in battalion command, and I really enjoyed the online remote job during COVID in the quiet, because it gave me a chance to reconnect with what mattered with me, my family, and my children, and those people that I wanted to maintain relationships with in the military and in um, my life, my family, that are within a 5 hour range instead of a 14 or 20 hour range. So it's good to be back where you have your friends and your family, but you also have your military family.
Yeah, we're lucky, aren't we? We get to have the best of both.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
No, so I mean, I guess I want to bring this back around because we are like a professional military spouse network. I guess I want to bring it back around to the professional. And I think my last question for you, Sue, would be, with the benefit of hindsight, is there anything you would do differently within the scope of your professional journey?
I don't think I would. At the time I wanted to, but I don't think I would because every experience gave me something and prepared me for the future. And so the one thing that I would change is to give myself permission to think more strategically about my career,
Mhm.
because and my career advancement and what that could look like, and what that in this world today is different than when we were over the last 25 years. So there is a different world for young military spouses in career advancement these days with technology. And so I often made my decisions based on the stability of everybody else, my family, the military unit, the people I was serving. And I do not regret any of that. Um, but um, I need to focus on my license and certifications to maintain current in the world that exists today. And I urge that of others to remain relevant and current on your professional licenses. If you have them, or if you're seeking a certification, give yourself the time, invest in yourself, and be ready to upskill, because we're all going to be doing it. So be intentional, invest in yourself, in your own personal growth. Um, that's the only thing I would say. I wouldn't really change anything. Um, but make sure that you do prioritize the upskilling. Um, because for me to remain current, I need to continually do instructional technology, data analysis, uh, leadership development. They are all critical areas to my work. And so I have to actively seek out new learning opportunities like certifications or additional licenses, um, to maintain a forward movement in my career. So I'm looking at some licenses and certifications, and maybe even another master's degree, just to stay relevant in this world. And
Right.
I'm looking at a doctoral degree, and I'm like, I don't know. I really need to speak to a mentor about that. I need to reach out to somebody to say, what is the best use and a best return on my investment? Is it a certification or a license, or the lifelong dream of doing my PhD? So I don't know. I still have decisions and I'm still growing. Um, your career is a living evolving process. And just make space for yourself and give yourself that as a military spouse because you've served your family and your spouse in your community already. Don't forget to do that for you.
No, I love that, and I love your approach to it because I love that, like, even though you guys are going through the transition right now, like, and you're still thinking it with the growth mindset, like, "Hey, I'm not done. Like, this is just another transition. I'm not
Yeah.
done. I'm still investing in myself. I'm still growing. I'm still looking for opportunities to learn." And that is, I mean, I think that is the most amazing mindset because if we can adopt that kind of mindset, then like we will stay relevant forever, right? Like
Mhm.
as long as you're still growing and as long as you don't just rest on your laurels. I love this. Thank you so much for your advice. I think that's wonderful. And I think I want to just give you an opportunity to have the last word. Is there anything else you would say to all the young spouses out there who are just starting out?
Yeah. Yes, I would think and hope that while they're seeking answers for themselves, they challenge themselves to say, how can I be the mentor?
Mm,
Because often we think, I need to be mentored. Like I just said that. But sometimes my mindset would shift when I realize, can I be the mentor? Should I be the mentor? Does somebody need me um, to step into that role? And oftentimes it was. And so consider yourself 360 all the way around. Where are you with all of these things? Um, Engage and know your resources. Find the military spouse networks and use them, leverage them, um, get involved, become a mentor in them, um, seek them out. So, volunteer. Volunteering is great. Again, going back to that quote from Sherry Greer in 2002, she said, "Invest in yourself, take opportunity, and invest in your community because whenever you do, it will always give you back tenfold." Mhm.
no, I love that. And that's really great advice. And I thank you so much for sharing your time and your story with us. I think you will inspire a lot of military spouses who are on this journey. And I think it's important for them to understand that not everything's a straight line and that there are many zigs and zags, but like at the end of the day, you who had to work a little bit extra to finish your degree because of all the constant moving and everything are now considering a PhD. So I think
Mhm.
that is incredibly inspirational. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you for your advocacy. And thank you for being willing to share your story. But thank you so much for our friends at USA for making these conversations possible. We were just chatting that it's just been amazing to hear from all these incredible military spouses doing incredible things in so many different industries. So if you have a story to share, I hope you will submit your story and hopefully we can share it and inspire other military spouses. Till then, I will see you guys again here next week. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.